So, in life, there's very divisive words in the English language. Trump, politics, religion, and we need to add a new one to that collection, Snow White. If you post anything on social media regarding this live-action Snow White, you better run for the hills because the comment section is about to go crazy. Everything about this movie is just divisive. No matter what you look at online, it's just crazy, the amount of comments that people hate this movie. But anyway, regardless of all of that, we're going to be here to talk about the performance of the opening box office weekend for the live-action Snow White coming to us from Disney. It's underperformed. Everybody knew this was going to happen, and it was just a case of how bad it was going to underperform. So we're going to get in, check out the box office figures for the movie. Also, we're going to do a small update for Captain America Brave New World on its total box office figures so far. So with that down, let's get into this and let's break down all this juicy information here. So this article comes to us from comicbookmovie.com. Snow White underperforms with 43 million debut. Captain America Brave New World passes 400 million worldwide. So the amount of money that they're spending on the production budgets of these movies is just beyond ridiculous. They have to make like $500 million or more just to break even on these types of movies. And it's just crazy how Disney is continuing to spend the amount that they do on these movies and expecting them to be profitable. It's just crazy, crazy stuff. So let's get to this information here anyway. So, Disney Snow White arrived in theaters on Friday, and the Mouse House latest live-action remake looks set for a disappointing opening weekend at the box office. Literally, from the inception point of this movie, right back to the beginning when it was first announced, people... I guess when the controversy first started with Rachel Zegler, people were saying this movie's going to bomb, that it's woke, it's DEI, and all this kind of stuff. And people knew right from the beginning this movie was going to bomb, it wasn't going to make as much money as they wanted it to, and it was just a case of how bad was it going to do. And now we finally know, based on these figures. So, the musical fantasy adventure, which stars Rachel Zegler, which literally everybody hates, as the titular princess, and Gal Gadot is the evil queen. Most people were saying that she's literally the only reason to see this movie, like Gal Gadot. To be honest, like, she's the most breathtaking woman in the world. Like, you could literally put her in anything and just watch it, and it would be watchable, I guess. Came in under already a modest 45 million estimates with a 43 million domestic debut. So the domestic numbers are 43 million. The movie took another the movie took another 44.3 million overseas, which means it will fail to hit its predicted 100 million global bow with just 87.3 million. So it came in, 13 million under its projected estimates. So it's not like, we're not talking here like 50, 60. So we're not talking catastrophically bad numbers here. With the predicted 100 million, I mean, coming in at 87, that's not like falling off a cliff, completely nuked, whatever kind of destructive word you want to use. So it's not end of the world annihilation type of numbers, but it's definitely not where they want it to be. And going into the second weekend, we'll have to do an update after the second weekend, after next weekend, and see what the drop from the first weekend to the second weekend is. If it's any bigger than 60-65% drop to the second weekend, that will be catastrophic, and this movie is going to make no money going forward. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on the second weekend. So, this was enough to give Snow White the #1 spot, and the movie is sure to benefit from a lack of big screen competition for the next couple of weeks before a Minecraft movie hits theaters. That's another big one as well. People have hated the marketing, hated the trailers. Is it going to make any money? That's the question. But that's a story for another video. So a recent Forbes article claimed that Snow White's budget had ballooned to a whopping $269.4 million. Can you even imagine spending that much money? It's crazy. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And the normal rule of thumb is that a movie has to make 2.5 times its production budget back in order to be profitable. So we're talking here well over 500 million in order just to be breaking even, which is beyond ridiculous. There is no words to describe how crazy that is. By the end of 2020, 269.4 million by the end of 2023. Current reports put it at 250. There's so many different websites. If you try to research the Snow White production budget, every single website you go on will say something different, but it's generally around 250 to 300 million, around that ballpark. It's hard to get a precise number, but just for the purposes of this video, it's between 250 to 300 million. Which obviously puts a lot of pressure on the movie to become a massive box office success. I think if this movie bombs as badly as it's looking that it might, then Rachel Zegler is going to struggle to get work after this movie fails, I think, because everything that she's in, she's box office poison. Every movie that she's in fails catastrophically, like really bad. Snow White recently received mixed negative reviews from critics. It's now dropped to 44% on Rotten Tomatoes, but audiences do seem to be getting a little more out of it for the most part. Audience score at 71. So just to clear that up, critics at 44 and audience at 71. That said, CinemaScore recently revealed that the movie has earned a B+ grade. For those of you who may not know CinemaScore, we have people who turn up to the cinemas in person, and then as people are coming out of the movie, they actually write down on a scorecard what they want the score to be. So it's something that's graded in real time as people come out of the movie at the actual location. Which is reported the lowest ever CinemaScore for a live-action Disney remake. That's to be expected from a lot of people. The studio most recent offering, Mufasa the Lion King, was given an A. I went to see that movie just before Christmas, and I don't care what anyone says. Mufasa the Lion King, I had a fun time with it. I think it was really enjoyable. Some of the music numbers, not so good, but the actual story itself, I actually found it quite enjoyable. It's slightly better news for Marvel Studios' Captain America Brave New World. I wouldn't say that, really, to be honest. Which has finally managed to pass 400 million mark worldwide. Considering the budget for Captain America Brave New World was like over 200 million, this movie isn't going to make any money. I mean, it's not profitable yet. It's got to make 450, 500 million, roughly, I think, to be profitable. So Captain America Brave New World is probably going to end up losing a little bit of money, I would say. If it can break even, I think that would be a miracle, but we'll have to wait and see when its box office run is finally done. So the latest MCU movie had a production budget of 180 million, but this is before marketing costs, and there is a possibility that the actual budget could be closer to 300 million. 300 million. So this movie is going to have to make, if we take 2.5 times the budget, what's that? 600? That's 600, what, 750 million? That can't be right, can it? Around about that number. Let's just say 600 million plus. So this movie is not going to make any money. Captain America Brave New World is going to be a flop when all is said and done. After extensive reshoots, this has not been confirmed. Even though going off an initial 180 million production budget, the movie will probably need to make closer to 500 million to break even, based on the industry standards that say a film must gross 2.5 times its budget. Yeah, like I was saying, so, you know, if it is true that the production budget is around the 300 million mark, it's going to have to make over 600 million in order to be profitable. It says 500 here, but let's just say for keepsake, between 5 to 600 million to be profitable, and it's not anywhere near that yet, so this is probably going to end up losing money. So what we're going to do next, let's go over to X. We'll check out this post here. So this post comes to us from Gitish Pandya, I think that's how you say it. Snow White opened to just 43 million this weekend at the domestic box office. That's between 46 million of Dumbo and 37 million of Maleficent 2. Saturday pop didn't happen, small dip instead. Disappointing start to a super expensive production. 44.3 million international debut for a global launch of 87.3 million. China opening was below 1 million. So whatever happened in China, they really didn't want to see this movie. But to finish off the video, let's go down and read some of the comments because you know they're going to be funny. It should not be considered disappointing start when everybody expected it to bomb. Well, yeah, I suppose he's got a point there. Good. The sooner we can get out of the trying to make a wokeness statement with every flipping movie, the better. You sound as if you're happy with that kind of result. Imagine the drop in the second weekend. That's exactly what I was saying earlier in the video. That's going to be the big telling thing going forward. If the drop is bigger than 60 or 65%, that is catastrophic, and this movie is just going to implode. Moving on here, we always known this would bomb. Since from China box office just about 25% go to the studio, Disney made 250 there this weekend, from which they will have to deduct marketing costs. The woke is over. 87 million is much lower than 100 million projection. The biggest bomb for Disney and the lunatic Rachel Zegler. Weird and weird. Fuck yeah, flop like I wish it for. Weird. that will go down in box office history. I mean cinematic history. That interview with Rachel Zegler doing that weird thing where she was being interviewed and she was going weird like that. Like, man, the most cringiest thing I've ever seen. Given the 250 million plus budget, it sounds not just terrible, it sounds like the biggest flop of the year. Toxic Rachel lost, best part of the movie. and then it shows the scene of Rachel Zegler obviously dying from eating the apple. That's kind of funny. But yeah, guys, so that's kind of where we are. I just thought I'd read out some of the comments there on that post. And pretty much the rest of it is just talking about the movie here, explaining who's in the movie and so on. We already know all that stuff. But have a pause and read of this if you want to, just talking about the movie. And that's pretty much where we are. So the movie underperformed and it's not looking good. But the second weekend is ultimately going to be the test as to how badly this movie is going to perform going forward. And I'm going to be very, very interested to see what the drop-off of the second weekend is. So guys, make sure you stay tuned, because after next weekend, once we get next weekend's box office figures, I will make sure to update the channel once again and let you all know how this movie is performing after the second weekend drop-off. But as for now, thanks so much for being here, guys. Thank you so much for joining me in this video. I appreciate you guys being here. Hit the like button before you leave. Consider becoming a subscriber of the channel if you haven't done so far. It goes a long way to supporting my content, so I'd really, really appreciate that. And as always, I will see you in the next video.